Hey everyone, this is a video response to Derek H. He had a top 15 game covers video. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but because of work I haven't had the time. However, I have had it in mind, and as I've been taking out games, going through them, deciding what to play, I've set some aside, those that were my particular favorite. Now, these aren't in any particular order like his were, but when we get to like the last, 1 to 3, that's definitely my favorites. Uh, I've done a top 5 before, but a lot of those have been packed away, so that included several, I think, PC gaming boxes. Those are definitely packed away. I do have one here, so I'm going to start with it, and that is Myth. Hopefully the glare's not too bad. I have my laptop screen as dark as possible, but it's impossible to escape that overhead light. Um, I found this at a Best Buy in, when did this come out? 97. Had never heard of it before. I did know Bungie. Bungie was predominantly known for their Marathon series on Mac, first-person shooters, and this is a real-time strategy game for PC, but they also released it for Mac. It looked like such a traditional fantasy novel, and the screenshots don't really show too much. You get some of the, definitely you can see some of the gore if the glare's not too bad. But what this was really unique is it took into account physics. So archers who shot from elevated terrain had a damage modifier. When the dwarves threw their explosives, they rolled downhill. And if you can see here, whenever they'd explode, arms and legs would fly everywhere. The heads of thralls would shoot into the sky. But really was the cover that sold me. This was pretty common back then, this flip style front for PC games, where you get more screenshots. Showing off that bridge was a pretty big deal too, because enemies could go under the bridge. You see them fighting on it and below it. But it was really the striking art that drew my eye. The second one did not have nearly as good art, and the third, which was not developed by Bungie, kind of missed the boat completely. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can get this on any download outlet, because it's still a really fun game. I played the online with this for several years with a friend. I met through it. I still talk to him. As I go along here, you'll see some that you might not be that impressed by, and some of that I'll admit is nostalgia. But most of these, if I was to see that art on a cover for an Xbox One or PlayStation 4 game, I would want to at least pick it up and check it out. But as an example of kind of how far behind games lag, here's the cover for Lady Snowblood from Criterion. And to me, this is just what a cover art should be. You get a quick summary of what's included and just a really striking image. Of course, this lived up to the great art. Not every game does, so not all of these will be necessarily my favorite games, but I do enjoy pretty much all of them. Next up is Mario Kart. I really enjoy Nintendo's use of colors. In Sega, you'll see will come up now and then, but predominantly early 90s Sega. The use of yellow for sky is really unique, and I think that makes it stands out with the red borders. Works well with Mario too, his red cap. A lot of screenshots on the back, mainly of the characters. There's the split screen view, but Mario art in general of this era, from kind of what you'd see in Nintendo Power, I've always enjoyed it. Koopa, that was my go-to. But yeah, always enjoyed the Mario Kart art, and you'll notice this is pretty much the US one. Just it is horizontal instead of vertical, so I'm glad they kept it. Next up is Edono. This one might be hard to see because it's really kind of sketch style drawings. Let me see if I can get it out the case. I do have gameplay of this up if you're interested. But yeah, this camera is not very good. This laptop itself is getting up there, but it's the best I got. Yeah, I had no idea what this game was, but I saw the art and I bought it. So I still do that. I will still buy something based on the cover. Fortunately for me, it worked out. A few screenshots on the back. For some reason, Famicom games or Super Famicom games never have that many screens. It is a horizontal side-scrolling action game. Some shooter-style segments where he's on a hoverboard. But yeah, I love the character design here. That art style. It's very detailed. Almost insectoid in a way. Is that a word? Insectoid? I don't know. They look like insects. We'll say that. Continuing with the kind of hodgepodge of system themes here. Tokyo Jungle. Now, you'll see in the case of a lot of these, the logo kind of lets the art down. In this case, this one's very bland, but it's not as bad as other ones. See, again, 2 little screenshots on the back. You don't really get much of a feel for the game, but the art sold me on it. You can get this on disc in the US, but it is part of a collection with Journey and I think Flower. This PS3 is region free, and this game will work on US systems, so if you ever spot this, definitely grab it. It's just a little Pomeranian, and he or she is attached to a leash. But I like that you immediately get what's going on with the game. You see there's no people around. It's desolate. Things are starting to run down. It's not completely derelict, but you see there's dirt starting to gather on the canopy. There's dirt and dust in the background. The Pomeranian's looking back at something. You're not sure what. The funny thing is, when you look at this and you think, oh, I really want to help that little guy. When you play the game, he's an absolute nightmare. I murdered so many other animals with this. And you also get it with the jungle theme. The city's overrun, and you take control of a wide variety of animals. Yeah, as much as you want to help this little bastard, when you play as him, you are just wreaking havoc on everything. So a great dynamic dichotomy in that respect. I mentioned this one in the past. I'm not even a big fan of these kind of builder simulator games like SimCity. I love the isometric art style, though. I am a complete sucker for that angle. And this is a great little abstract art style. Heavy use of shadows, a lot of red. You don't see that a lot. Red, green, and yellow. That's in a very abrasive combination, but it works for this. And I've wanted this since I saw it on store shelves simply for the cover. It's a very cheap game. You can still, when I grabbed this, they were only like $10. Just really well done. Good job, Maxis. Now this one, let me see if I can take it out of the jewel case. This is kind of a unique example here. The manual I'm about to show is from the Japanese release, but the art itself is only available in the Canadian variant. If I can get the manual out of the case here. It's stuck. And that is, oh, there it is. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo for the 3DO. Now this is, like I said, the Japanese manual. It's got this really nice checkerboard design with sketches of the entire roster in the grid. The Canadian long box variant is of this design, and thanks to Shock 16 for, I believe last time, either in the pickup video of this or when I mentioned it in another one, pointed that out, that it's only the Canadian long box variant. The US one has, I think it's this art style, but in color. I'm not a fan of this at all. Kuma's got a tiny head, these ridiculously sized arms. That's just not impressive. The Japanese releases never got long box, so to get this style, you have to wait. I've only seen it maybe 3 times on eBay, and it always goes for $70 to $90. I haven't seen it up there for years, though. That's why I just went ahead and bought the Japanese one. But yeah, one of my favorite covers for Street Fighter 2. In this era in general, they had really great character art. I remember reading in GamePro and EGM when they were first announcing it, they completely changed up the art style. Sagat especially looked great. He had this kind of slightly disproportioned body where his arms were massive, his hands were the size of other characters, and he was putting on, he was either making fists or wrapping his fists. That one really stood out. Let's see, got a number of Saturn games here. This one is Wachenroder. I love the charcoal style portrait look of, there's about 6 characters. This is a steampunk style game. And yeah, this is another one I wanted to try for years just because of the cover. When I first tried eBay, this is an older game. And of course, they were all out by the time eBay was new. But this was pretty big on eBay even at the time. It's really cheap now. It was cheap then. But it always stood out. It's probably only 1 or 2 copies when I was checking back then. But just because the art is so striking, it was one I always wanted to grab. Pretty good game too. I just don't know much Japanese. But that cover has always stood out, and I'm surprised I haven't seen another cover try to emulate that. Because even though it doesn't tell you much about the game, you immediately, at least in my case, I want to know more about it. Let's see. Speaking of Street Fighter Zero. Now, the U.S. cover of this is pretty famous for being terrible. If you haven't seen it, definitely look it up. It's got kind of these very bad drawings of each character. It almost looks like color pencil drawings. They're doing moves you can't do in the game. Everyone's fighting in one spot, but the dimensions are all off. The proportions are all off. It's an embarrassing cover. Contrast with this, which is it's odd, and that's why I like it. They have very strange eyes, heavy use of shadows. You don't see any of the other characters, but you do have some really nice art in the back, and this was a style they adopted for that era, which another favorite of mine. This span is when I was really, really into Street Fighter. The Alpha set 1 and 2, and I did get back into it for Third Strike. But yeah, this cover really stands out. If I saw a Street Fighter, like I said, if I saw this on the shelf today, I would definitely want to play it. No idea what this could be a cover for Street Fighter V, and I'd probably actually be interested in that game again. But yeah, this is a great job by Capcom. The cover for Alpha 2 was better in the U.S., in that it was like a face-off between Ryu and Akuma. The Japanese one is okay. It's got Sakura and Ryu and Akuma in the center. I'm not a big fan of the Alpha 3 cover, though. It's just kind of a mess of everyone. This really stands out because this is, to me, Sega in the 90s. You have this giant polygonal car. The color scheme, though, the red on the blue, it shouldn't work, but it has always reminded me of a pack of like Bubblicious bubblegum. And so has the other car you can drive, yellow and reddish orange. They always look like gum. But yeah, the blue sky, bold logo with the Daytona flags. I don't know, Sega, this is to me what they're about. Everything's big, it's colorful. That's what you're going to get when you play the game. That was another reason I was really drawn to Daytona is the car, the different camera angles. You can have one where the car is just massive. And like that was just something you didn't see at that time. Ridge Racer helped to tide me over. Really big fan of that one. But the whole color scheme of this series, it just screams arcade to me. Continuing on. Yeah, this one is really just because I enjoy the holidays a lot. And this was a gift, presented as a gift to Saturn owners. And it pretty much achieved that. The nice little bow. I like the 3-column effect of the red, green, and white. I've always liked Knights as a character. Customized with the Christmas present. The Knights logo always stood out to me. The great font, great colors, little dash of Christmas on it. Yeah, even though I had the US version of this, I bought the next generation that came with it. I remember I was like mid-teens, and I had that date marked on my calendar because they had been advertising. And I got my dad to bring me to Barnes & Noble with a friend. And they actually had like 4 issues of the next generation that had it. Immediately grabbed it. Then maybe 2 years later when the internet started getting some momentum, I was looking it up online and I saw the Japanese cover. And we didn't get a jewel case. We actually got it in a cardboard sleeve. And I saw this and was extremely jealous. But yeah, I think it still holds up. Like I said, I'm a sucker for the holidays. I love the holiday look. And here's the disc itself. A little snowflake design. But yeah, this is still cheap too, much cheaper than the US version. That's kind of always held true. It spiked for a while, but it seems to have gone back down. But yeah, great for the holidays. These two are tied. One of these, the logo, it's terrible. The schematics on the side mixed with what looks like high fantasy gothic style art. This kind of use of heavy shading and darks would not stand out in a like Dark Souls. It looks very much like that. I think that's why I'm always drawn to it. It doesn't really fit the game itself, which is more of like a traditional action game. This has been translated into English, fan translated, so you can grab a patch to play it. But you get to customize your mech, but you see the levels here are very bright. nothing like this. This makes it look like some sort of mech dungeon crawler, which sounds like a great idea. Of course, it is from Software, so similar art style. Like I said, this reminds me very much of the Japanese Demon Souls cover. Again, not surprising being the same company, but yeah, really like this cover. But that's got to go. If you can imagine it without that, I think you would appreciate it much more. And it was tied for this mainly because they follow a somewhat similar aesthetic with just giant mechs on the cover. But this is Virtual On. Again, it's got follows a schematic sketch style, which is on the one side of frame grid, dominated by a robot. What's unique about this is it's hard to pick up on camera, but this is a sort of matted material. It's not a traditional manual. It's actually a very, very thick manual. I'm trying to get it out now, but it comes in a slightly oversized case because of it. All right, it's stuck in there. Trying to get manuals out and with one hand is not easy. But let me see if I can get this. You know, I'm going to take it out. One sec. It's got a slightly shiny to it, or slightly shiny aspect. It's not picking it up. This is actually a thicker material than most manuals. But it's really interesting to see it in person. Stands out much, much more than the US one, which is maybe that's why I like this so much, because in comparison to the very bland US one, almost like a comic book of a comic, like an Image Comics cover from the mid-90s. Let me put this back real quick. Little ad here. Dream lineup. And let's see. Here's one as a good example to not judge a book by its cover, and that is Legion. I've actually seen this mentioned in reviews how the art is so interesting, but the game is not very good. It's, I don't want to say HR, is it Giger? It's close to that, but not quite. But it does have a lot of detail and shading. Almost reminds me of those 80s heavy metal covers to the magazine Heavy Metal. You immediately want to know what's going on with this, but then when you play it, it is so difficult. It is basically assumes you know what to do already. Enemies take so many hits that you have to be shooting them the second they get on the screen, otherwise they will kill you. They can go through the ceiling, go through the floor, go through the friendly fire projectiles, everything. So you have to know where they're going to be the second they come on screen to win. But you know what? I would say it's worth owning just for that cover. This could go on any book or movie, and it would look great. Why it had to go on this of all things, that's the real crime here. Next is Panzer Dragoon, the Japanese release. Like many of these, the North American cover is not great. Let me see if I can. I have the spine card on the front here. I'm trying to get it out of the way. Again, like many of these, the U.S. or North American copy just used a very bad CG image. What really stands out about this one is the disc art too. This is basically the cover of the game. What's the French artist name? Is it Mobius? He did the art for the series. Look at that. That is the manual itself, but you'll see here, and this is also something I wanted to show, so it works out. Even the spine card has the art on it, which is, like many spine cards, it's this, and it's worked. It's in such a way that when you wrap it around, it's supposed to be seamless. So this is the edge of the spine card. You'll see here. And the front is the disc. Oh, man. Just now I'm picturing the North American version, and it's so bland in comparison. What a shame. But yeah. And I love when they put colored graphics on disc. It makes it seem so special. It's like a working designs game. And let me go with these last two. We have another, not a tie, but just a similarity. Assault Suit Lanus. Always liked this cover. I've yammered on about it quite a bit. I'm a big fan of profile shots, and this one really stands out. And the nice green unit with a one red glowing bulb in the back. Not many. They have three screenshots, more than others, but they're very small. And nice sketch up top. But this is from Messiah, I think that's how you pronounce it. And they had another great cover, but it's very similar. Vixen 357, this is a strategy game. Another profile shot. This one would also stand out quite a bit. They used some really good artists at this company. They also created the Langrisser series. But this is a good example. There's only 2 screenshots, and one is just of stats. Like, why would you put that? Who wants to see just stats? And one very small one of combat and some character sketches. But not necessarily a tie. They're just so similar. I do like this one quite a bit. That's why I bought it. And kind of bring it up. I'm going to talk about this in a pickup video. Rising Star Games said they were going to include a poster of this in the new PS4 version. It was supposed to be a double-sided poster, one of which is the original Mega Drive art, which is this. They pulled it at the last minute and didn't tell anyone. I only learned after I pre-ordered mine, or ordered it, and someone got a copy and I asked them about it, and then I had to email the company, and they're like, oh yeah, it's not in there. I would have loved art of this. I would have tracked down one of the artists and had them sign it, paid them whatever they wanted. And finally, Doom. I read today the artist that created this just passed away, so it's fitting it's at number 1. Doom is one of the few games where the logo seems to work with the general style of the box. They put a lot of effort in the logo, and you see the color scheme of the orange and red as it flows down into the art itself. Most ports share this art. Which one doesn't? There is one that the Sega Saturn one is garbage. I'm not sure what they were thinking. And the PlayStation 1 has was it the cover to the comic book or something? It's not good. But the 3DO, the Jaguar, the PC, of course, the Mac, whatever else Doom came on, which seemed to be everything, has this one. This one's always stood out, even though some of the the designs aren't the best. It's just the kind of the strangeness of this demon that looks very dog-like, which I'm sure that was the intention, but it looks almost too dog-like. I guess that's why I'm drawn to it, because I keep staring at different elements of this. Each demon's got a different face, so you want to always study them all. There's the Marine in the background, which you think about co-op, and it brings back a bunch of fun memories. And it's just a badass cover. Just one guy, half clothes coming off, getting torn up. He's cut. He's already being held on one side, and he's still just shooting his gun into a whole crowd of demons. That is Doom in a nutshell. And that's why I gotta say this is still my favorite cover. I don't know if anything will ever top this. For nostalgia, for just general theme, yeah, big fan of Doom. And that's it. I can finally put this stuff away. Thanks, Derek H., for making this topic. I hope everyone enjoyed. I'll talk to you later.